Okay, so it seems like most of you have chosen B, which is exactly correct. I will be talking about how, as teachers, we can foster relationships in order for them to benefit everyone without excluding either side. So we've got two forms of communication. We have one-way communication and two-way communication. One-way communication is such as newsletters or notes sent home for the parents. Informs parents but provides little information to support the family. Two-way communication, on the other hand, which is what most people have chosen, allows sharing of information. Two-way communication is essential for establishing support and building understanding, trust and a sense of collaboration, all of which contributes to a teacher's ability to support parents. And in saying this, we as teachers not only need to be good communicators, but we also need to be good listeners, so we can understand our parents and our students' needs. Another way to support relationship is to actually knowing individuals, not just their names or the parent's name, but also knowing their culture and background. By knowing your students, you can create personalised learning experiences, and when parents feel a teacher genuinely cares for their child, they generally agree to working together more favourably. To support your relationship, you need to be flexible. You cannot expect everything to be done your way. You cannot expect parents or students to drop what they're doing and to come meet with you straight away. So this might mean you have to schedule a meeting that suits the parent and may not specifically suit yourself. You also need to be adaptable. I'm not sure if you can remember at a time when you were too afraid to ask a question or even to have an opinion. And I'm saying we need to be respectful and non-judgmental of others' opinions. I'm sure we can all think of other ways we can develop a support collaboration and partnerships to ensure an inclusive relationship for all. However, I've only highlighted a few that may be helpful and I feel that are the most important when it comes to a supportive relationship. Just to highlight what I've said, we need to have two-way communication, we need to know our students, we need to be flexible, we need to be approachable. These are some of the key issues to support a healthy relationship.
Although we've already outlined the importance of how to build partnerships and how as teachers we can support and maintain these relationships, there are still various barriers that may limit our ability to effectively collaborate with parents, students and families. One of the most influential is the rise of neoliberal discourses within education. Neoliberal societies have limited government, and with an educational setting, this has resulted in decisions regarding the financial and administrative responsibilities being made at a school level. Ultimately, families, teachers and schools have become stakeholders, and students and parents are now consumers within the education marketplace. This idea of education being a market system can create many barriers for establishing authentic partnerships. This is because schools now compete in the marketplace for funding and consumers. Authentic relationships may be difficult to achieve if teachers and schools focus on building relationships around the idea of business as opposed to trying to meet and understand the individual needs of the child. It is essential that teachers understand how to build authentic relationships within the current neoliberal context, as it is critical to being able to offer an inclusive education. Another issue is that although there are educational frameworks such as teaching standards and legislation which are built to support inclusive education, this does not mean that all schools will be willing to or able to provide an inclusive education for their students. This has often resulted in some families opting to send their child to a special school. This is a significant issue because it reinforces the belief that regular schools are not an environment for students with disability, and this further fosters the discourse of exclusion. Teachers need to understand their own underlying assumptions and how these may be limiting their ability to provide an inclusive education. These assumptions may be expressed through their teaching pedagogy, and if they are not addressed, they may be difficult to achieve and build effective partnerships. Lastly, for many years, teachers have been positioned as experts within their field. This can often lead to something referred to as professional defensiveness, which limits teachers from developing strong partnerships with parents and students. This is because teachers may see a parent's involvement as a challenge to their own role as an expert, and as a result, they may not wish to work collaboratively with parents. This leads to a barrier in supporting collaboration between families and professionals. Teachers need to ensure they do not interpret parent involvement as a personal attack, but instead have an open attitude to working alongside parents, because ultimately everyone wants the best for the child involved. If teachers can overcome these barriers of neoliberalism, exclusion discourse, and professional defensiveness, then it will lead to an inclusive education that supports relationships and builds strong, authentic partnerships with parents and families. I'll now pass on to Jaden, who will summarise our presentation by discussing how to implement these partnerships into the classroom. This will be achieved through discussing 4 key points.
In the past, family and student opinions have not been used in a schooling context, and the running of school and education has been made by professionals and teachers only. To make it an inclusive environment, partnerships need to be wider, and the use of parents and students in decision making is imperative. As the chapter suggests, when family and students are placed at the heart of planning, more meaningful learning and participation is likely to occur. This notion makes sense as parents know their kids, so why not allow some input in the decisions that are made for those children? Why not get inside knowledge on how and what their children are about and incorporate this into our classrooms? Parents are important partners in classroom communities and need to be actively engaged. Partnerships should be used to create the pedagogy we're going to teach with. When we all collaborate together, students, teachers, and parents, it creates a holistic pedagogy that everyone can benefit from. In using a collaborative pedagogy, it provides a learning community where everyone has a contribution and ensures student success and learning. The use of collaborative pedagogy lends itself to the characteristics that teachers need to have to create an inclusive environment. Effective teachers listen well, which enables them to understand the wants and desires of each student. Teachers should also be flexible whereby they're able to relinquish power to students. Giving students powers to generate learning experiences where the teacher becomes a facilitator allows students to be responsible for learning. For example, allowing students to establish their own rules, boundaries and expectations allows them to be included into decisions and therefore included within the classroom. Once all these things are implemented, it's important that you communicate the outcomes with all partnerships. Particularly keeping parents in the loop is important as they feel they are part of their child's learning environment. Giving parents access to newsletters, emails and meetings is a great way to give personalised information. Therefore, it is important that professionals acknowledge the lesser partners and encourage the growth of collaboration by keeping the lines of communication open at all times. Also, schools and teachers should look to update their partnership skills through professional development that is offered and using this constantly throughout the classroom. These are just some of the ideas that can be used to create an inclusive classroom for all partnerships.
Partnership is key to living happily. Collaboration is okay, it makes us say hooray. Working together may take time, but it's worth every dime. Inclusion is the best, we want nothing less. Relationships are what we build together as we stand. Authenticity is what we need in order to succeed. Listening is what we do to make us understand. Inclusion is the best and we want nothing less. We hope you sing this song to learn to get along. We hope you understand that inclusion is in demand. Building partnerships is what we want to do. We hope you learn that too.